following selection of video clips is designed to help us to get better videos for putting the church services together. There's a selection of things, including mistakes by myself, that I've certainly made many times. I hope they're helpful. They're not particularly professionally done, but that's the world we're in at the moment. If you need anything else from me, please do let me know. I'll be sending out a data sheet with a link to this video on, and so that should give you some advice on how to do things. So I hope this is helpful. Outdoors can be great, and you certainly can have some lovely backgrounds. You have to be aware of the noises around you, and if there's any wind around, that will create wind noises on the phone's microphone. The other thing is, which I'm hoping to demonstrate here, is that if you've got the sunlight or light source coming in directly from the side, then what happens is that you get a one side in brightness and one side in shadow. This can also happen if you're standing next to a window. And looking at backgrounds again, this one is okay. I have got quite a lot of white down this side of my face. I am off centre, but that's fine. I could be reading from something, or that's okay. A bookcase is quite good. You see a lot of politicians in front of bookcases. It's meant to make them look more intelligent. In my case, these are books for my grandchildren, which probably says the level. And it just gives a nice feel to it. So again, it's eye level. Again, it's kind of intimate. It's kind of relaxed. I'm sat in an armchair. I do have a radiator behind me, but it's kind of mostly obscured. So again, this is the type of thing that can be helpful. Where you are in position to the camera can make a difference as well. If you come in quite close, you can speak more softly and you can be more intimate. But it does also mean that you can't suddenly raise your voice because that becomes too loud for it. Similarly, if you sit right back, you can appear slightly distant and as if you're not caring quite so much. It does also give you a lot more. So sit at an even distance. Now, you don't have to be in the middle of the camera of the shot, and you can move it if it's giving a good background. Similarly, if you've been asked to do a scripture, it is very, very useful for me. Now, this will shake while I move it, and I do advise not to move things while you're doing it. If you're doing a scripture, it's quite good to be sat a little bit back and then to give me some space on one side or the other, and I can run the scripture down the page as you're reading it and put it into text, which is, I think, people would find helpful. So if you remember, please do it landscape at all times, and please leave me some space. Not staring down from a lofty angle, it gives a strange perspective on you and can make your head look a lot bigger than your body. Also, your neck's in an unnatural position and it's quite difficult to maintain it. If it's from underneath, you get a strange angle. You also get, as you can see from here, if you've got too bright a background, you get a very dark, shadowed, almost silhouetted face. And so it's always good to have a good bit of bright light on your face. One of the common things you see on video calls and things like that is when somebody's got something like an iPad at an angle leaning up from a table. I certainly do it when I'm Skyping my children and doing Zoom meetings for prayers and things. And it does two things. As you see, it sort of really does give you a look of your chin and your neck. Mine probably is scraggy, but it makes it look more so. And it does seem to accentuate that because it's a funny angle to your face. It fattens it slightly. And also you're looking up at the ceiling, you're looking at, I've got a picture behind me which is a bit distracting because it kind of frames my head in a way and also accentuates any natural movements that I'm making while I'm doing it. So forgive me for doing this while it's live, but this might just go to help you that really talking at a straight angle is fine, and that's actually a lot more helpful. I think it actually makes for a better picture. Now, the other thing about it is we bought a very inexpensive tripod from Amazon. You can get them for about £9 or for about, we got ours for just under £20 on Amazon. And it's got an iPhone tripod, but it will fit many other things as well. Now, the joy of this one was that it had a clicker with it, a Bluetooth clicker, which I can attach to the phone by Bluetooth. And then when I click it, it starts the camera rolling. So there's none of this getting up and fiddling with the phone and that in the beginning of it. So while I'm on that, at the beginning of every video, if you could leave 5 seconds, I know that seems a long time, before you start to speak. And the reason for that is that then I can do crossfades, I can fade you in, fade you out. It gives me a bit of room to play with. Similarly, if you're doing more than one section at a time, so if you're doing 2 readings, if you leave a gap of 3 to 5 seconds between each reading, that's really helpful for me. So how that would look would be, so at the beginning, the reading today is taken from Matthew chapter 3. And off you go. So that's the type of thing that's really useful. Now, where your eyes are is also quite important. If you're on a phone or an iPad, the camera is off to one side, or if you're on a computer, sometimes it's up above the screen. And that can look as if you're distracted, not caring. If you've got a script that's down here and you're reading from the script, that's also doesn't look very engaging. So it's quite good to have your script up somewhere roughly level, and the camera should always be somewhere around about level with eye level. If I'm looking at the screen, I'm not actually looking at you, so I do look to one side, and I'm more now looking at you than I am at the screen. But if you stare down the lens, that can be quite intimidating. So just relax back, glance at people, glance at things, be natural, and then that makes it a lot easier. Again, background here, quite a neutral background. There are some photos and pictures, but it's best to avoid photographs of family, children, things like that. It's better to have something of interest behind you or a blank wall, but what's important is once you've got it set, don't change it too much. I take my glasses off because my glasses go dark in the sunlight, and that also is a distraction for people if they can't actually see your eyes. So although I can't see the camera at the moment, I'm kind of looking in its general direction. And this is just really a shot to show you how not to wear your glasses when you're doing it. Mine being outside, mine are still becoming light again, and also they're highly reflective on the front, and that's showing the windows that are opposite me, which are lighting my face up really quite nicely at the moment. Where I've done a stop and start again.
This is a reminder. 12:30 tomorrow, Sainsbury's.
And that's another feeling when Alexa chimes into the background. So you can't do much about that.
12:30 tomorrow, Sainsbury's.
So if that happens, just treat it as a mistake and go back and do it again, just from the nearest convenient point, leaving that gap in, and then I can splice in reasonably well. I can fade in and fade out so that it doesn't look like a jump. This one is a reminder about distractions and format. So first of all, you can see that this is done in portrait format, and whilst it's a good head and shoulders shot, it's a reminder that I absolutely need you to be in widescreen format, so that when it's on a TV screen or computer screen, there isn't unused black space around. That's very helpful if you can remember to do that for all videos, please. Secondly, it's distractions. Now, although for when I'm working on the computer I need to use an eye patch, and it's much easier for you to work with the headset, they don't look great on camera. So do remember that it's not about whether it's good or bad. It's about distractions and getting used to other things that could put people off what you're actually saying. So light background, like lighting, it's things that get in the way of the actual message you're wanting to present. So that's it. Thanks ever so much.